Have you ever wondered why the more you search for light, the more lost you feel? You chase clarity, healing, success, and peace, yet something keeps pulling you back into confusion. It's not bad luck. It's not sabotage. It's the part of you that was never allowed to exist, the shadow. That hidden self you learned to suppress because it didn't fit the script of who you were told to be. And now, every time life becomes quiet, it knocks. It shows up not with answers but with silence, not with guidance but with discomfort, not to destroy you, but to reveal you. Carl Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light but by making the darkness conscious." What if your greatest breakthrough is not in more light, but in the one shadow you still refuse to see? We were trained to fear our own depths, to believe that sadness is weakness, that anger must be buried, that fear should be silenced. From childhood, we were rewarded for being easy, pleasant, adaptable, and punished, subtly or directly, for being intense, emotional, or too much. So we began to split. The parts that were praised became our identity. The parts that weren't became shadows, exiled, yet still alive. But you can't bury what was born inside your soul. It waits, in every anxiety, in every trigger, in every unexplained resistance that keeps you from growing. This is not dysfunction, it's memory. It's the inner child, the wounded warrior, the unseen artist among all parts of you begging to be heard, not fixed, not erased, but integrated. And as long as you keep trying to become more light, without honoring the darkness that shaped you, you'll remain divided. The shadow is not evil, it's not a curse, it's not the part of you that needs to be eliminated. The shadow is a wound carrying wisdom. It is grief that became silence, rage that became skin, shame that became masks. The shadow is not the enemy. It's the part of you that carried what no one else could hold. The pain, the fear, the hunger for love, the unspeakable truth. You buried it not because it was wrong, but because it was too much for the world around you. But now, it's too much to keep inside. There is no light without darkness. The flame cannot exist without consuming something. And your soul cannot grow without descending first into the places you've avoided. Carl Jung called this the integration of the shadow, not fighting it, not becoming it, but walking with it, listening to it, understanding that your wholeness lives not in perfection, but in reconciliation. Avoidance is not laziness. It is fear in disguise. The fear of feeling too much, the fear of not being enough, the fear that once you look into the abyss of your own soul, you won't come back the same. And that fear is not irrational, because you won't. No one who dares to face their own shadow remains unchanged. But the version of you that avoids is not alive. It's maintained. It's managed. It's a performance of peace that hides a storm waiting to be seen. Every time you numb the discomfort, distract from the pain, deny the anxiety, you reinforce the prison of avoidance. But that cage is self-built. The key has always been inside: courage. Not the absence of fear, but the willingness to feel it fully. Because the emotion you avoid is the door to the truth you need. There's a sacred moment in every journey when you stop fighting the darkness and begin listening to it. You sit in the cave of your fears, not to be swallowed, but to understand the voice that echoes within. This is not weakness. This is initiation. Carl Jung reminds us that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And so, you do not heal by bypassing the pain, you heal by honoring it. You become whole when you stop dividing yourself between the acceptable and the hidden, the bright and the broken. You reclaim your soul not by erasing the shadow, but by embracing it as the keeper of your lost power. Your light was never missing. It was just waiting to be claimed, in the very place you refused to look. What if the shadow was never your enemy but your invitation? What if everything you ran from was simply the part of you that needed to be held, not silenced? The pain, the guilt, the regrets, they were never there to punish you. They were trying to speak. They were trying to return you to your essence. The darkness you feared was the silence before your awakening. The true path begins where the light ends, That's where faith is forged. That's where courage becomes sacred. When you finally walk into the parts of yourself you've abandoned, you begin to see you were never lost. You were simply hiding. And what you call darkness was the voice of your soul trying to be heard again. So if something stirred inside you today, if this touched a place you've tried to forget, write in the comments, "I embrace my hidden light." Share this video with someone who needs to remember that their healing begins in the places they fear. And if you want to keep walking this path of inner truth and sacred paradoxes, subscribe now. The shadow is not the end. It's the beginning of your real self.